What do you think's important?
The economy is driving a lot of what we're trying to. It's unfortunately forcing a lot of things, but we're trying to address not only what needs to serve the public, needs to serve our judicial system, but our members as well. As far as the public, we have a number of programs. We have our Cornerstones of Freedom, which you have probably seen some of our PSA ads on radio, TV. You've heard some of them on the radio. We're going to continue those. We're going to expand those. We have a great law-related education program. Last year we had about 4,300 students across the state that came to the State Bar Center for these programs. And so we're going to serve the public this way. We're going to work on legislation. One of the crucial things today is the judiciary cuts, the budget cuts. It's the economy is bad. We've got revenues bad. We know there are problems, but we've got to have our courts operate. We cannot be like some other states where they've actually had to close the courthouse doors.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And those have happened in states. We cannot allow that to happen here in Georgia, and we're doing everything we can.
What can the bar do to try and prevent cuts to the judiciary?
Well, the only thing we can do is continue to work with the legislature, work with the governor, to try to see if there are other ways that we can make the cuts that are necessary in the budget. We've gone from it, and a lot of people don't realize, the budget for the judiciary for the state of Georgia was 0.9% of 1%.
So under 1% of the
under 1% of the total budget, and it's dropped now to almost about 0.8. So it's, this is.
So it's being the budget cuts are hitting the judiciary budget disproportionately hard.
Correct. And we know that other departments are suffering as well. But the judiciary is a separate branch of the government. There's a need that we have to keep our courthouses open. If we can't have trials and we can't have judges open, our prosecutors can't prosecute criminals. We'll have prisoners that will languish in jail for months at a time waiting for trials that will be extended. We'll have civil trials that can't be heard. So it's very important to keep our court system vibrant and alive. They are trying to do their best to cut it to the bone, keep the necessary staff there.
Cut expenses.
That's correct.
On that topic, what about the crisis of the public defender system, the funding for the public defender system?
That's part of it also. I mean, that public defender system, we created a model about 4 years ago that has become an envy in other states where they have tried to recreate the model of their system. And unfortunately, with the cuts in fundings to it, changes in attempt to change some of the way that it is controlled, it's causing some problems with that, the indigent defense. We've got to have the indigent defense system stable across the state. It's got to be. And we'll be working on that. Continue to work with the legislators and with the governor to see what we can do to make it work.
It seems that a lot of that work would be educational. My understanding is many, as you know, there are fewer lawyers in the legislature than at any time in Georgia history, as best I know.
Very aware of that.
So a lot of our representatives in the State House don't understand the legal ramifications of not providing representation to people charged with crime. So is part of the State Bar's role an educational role in educating the legislature then?
Well, it's educating the legislator. Our legislators are trying very hard. And while we would love to have and want to have more lawyers in there, beneficial, I think those that are in there serving are trying very hard to learn what needs to be done. I think it's a combination of working with the legislators to make sure they understand it and working with the public to make sure that, because it's very hard to argue, well, we want to do something with the criminals. The public.
I understand it's a hot potato issue. Yeah. The public needs some educating on why we need to do that.
So it's a twofold thing that we've got to work on. And then there's several other issues as we go through that require education, not only of trying to help the legislators work their way through it, but to tell and explain to the public why this needs to be done also. And that's what we do through our PSAs, through what we're doing with children as far as teaching them civics. Unfortunately,
kids teach their parents.
Well, they do. We don't teach civics in school like we used to when I was coming along.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to do that. Now, one last segment I want to get back to because you asked me my agenda, and I talked about serving the public, serving the judiciary, our lawyers.
Okay.
This is a time that has hit lawyers like it hasn't in the past.
Yes.
Since October, we have over 300 lawyers that have made their first application for unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
We've had lawyers that have practiced for years that have simply shut down their law firm. They could not keep them operating. The bar is trying to respond. We have an incredible program that we started for unemployed lawyers. It's a monthly luncheon. We make available to them our law practice management group, our lawyer impairment group, which helps them with both counseling, helps them with if they want to pick up their practice, how they can use the right softwares and management tools. We also help them with some counseling as far as marketing, retooling. Maybe you were doing real estate, maybe you were doing mergers and acquisitions, but maybe for now you need to go back and learn how to draft wills and do some things in another area that could still serve the public, still generate an income. And so we're helping them. And we've had a great response. We've had a full house in April, May, and we've got another one coming up next week.
Yeah, I've covered the last two of them. They've been very well attended.
And so we've got to help our lawyers work together.
Yeah, it's a very tough time.
Yes.
Last couple of questions for you. I also found at the Board of Governors meeting this morning, the budget report was not good. I also found, unsurprisingly, have dwindled quite a bit. Is there any way to replace that money, or do we just have to, or just the bar? Because it's the bar foundation.
Well, these monies. I mean, it's very difficult to come up with $6 million to replace what they've lost just this year.
That's this year's shortfall, $6 million.
That's $6 million. They had about $9 million last year that they were able to give in grants to help these various programs across the state.
Funds, Georgia Legal Services, Legal Aid,
various other basics program, which is ones we mentioned, the resource center. And others, domestic violence issues and the likes of the shelters. And so what we're trying to do this year is we can't come up with a $6 million shortfall or fill that in, but we're trying to help out with some monies from the bar, some monies from our sections that have collect money from their dues and form their members and help these other programs. We're encouraging lawyers, some of you out there that have, you're not working regularly or got that, take a pro bono course. Keep your skills up in that. And we can help because the needs of our public are very heavy. The pro bono, you mentioned earlier, the CAB Volunteer Lawyer Association.
Yes, which you've been very involved with over the years.
I'm proud to have been a co-founder of that, and we celebrated our 25th anniversary in 2007. Formed up in 1982. It is the program is alive and well. It's an incredible program. We've got at last tally some 400 or so lawyers in the Decatur CAB area that are volunteering their services to help people. And these are the ones that are in between legal aid and those that can afford it. Grow the gap.
Right. Yeah, that's the area where people really get hit right there.
And so it's a very important area that we've got to continue those efforts.